Are there any cover page series that take place in areas with a lot of snow? I was trying to think about that, and I'm like, I think the only one that comes close to taking place in areas with a lot of snow is Caribou's. Um, which I still thankfully have a while to get to. But I also don't like Caribou. So, yeah. Also don't like him. But I do, however, like Miss Goldenweek, or Marianne, as she is also called. And this is that cover page series. So this is the 8th cover page series for One Piece, Miss Goldenweek's Operation Meet Baroque Works. Quite a wordy title. So this one is the kind of the side story that deals with kind of the aftermath of the Alabasta arc, all the way up to at least a little while before the Impel Down arc. Given that several of the characters throughout the course of this cover page series will end up in Impel Down by the end of it, 4 specifically. But the majority of Baroque works actually like escapes retribution, which I'm like, okay, and like they're kind of living normal lives now, which I'm like, okay, I guess that's maybe kind of a good thing. Give them a second chance, a redemption, maybe. But we'll get to that. And 2 very specific members of Baroque's works. One of them is a Straw Hat in the form of Robin. And then, of course, Vivi and Igaram were former members of Baroque works, but they were, of course, undercover. And Vivi is, of course, well, now, Vivi is technically like the queen-to-be of Alabasta and is currently on a newspaper teapot, and Igaram is trying frantically to find her. Fair. We do not see Mr. 9 or Miss Monday in this cover page series. We will eventually get to, I will at least get to touch on them later on in one of the Decks of the World cover page series. But we know that eventually they do end up getting married and having a baby, but I'll go over that one in one of the other cover page series. But this one focuses on pretty much all the rest of the ones that end up getting defeated at some point in time through the course of, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and then Alabasta. So this one has, it runs from chapter 359 through 413, and it has 42 installments and 1 extra installment. So 43 essentially. And I think it's one of the longest cover page series that has been in the story. I mean, it's 43 freaking chapters long. Yeah, it's like one of the longest ones. So the short summary of the cover page is that the whereabouts of the various Baroque agents have been exposed, and Miss Goldenweek, Mr. 5, and Miss Valentine decide that they are going to try to get the other ones out of jail. Throughout the course of this, they end up running into Hyuna, Django, and Full Body, and, some of the Marines. And by the end of it, most of them end up escaping. The ones who end up not escaping and end up getting thrown in jail are, of course, Crocodile, Mr. 0, Daz Bones, Mr. 1, Bantam, Mr. 2, Bonclay, and Galdino, Mr. 3, who all end up getting sentenced and thrown in Impel Down, where, of course, we pick up with them later, which I will touch on later in this video. All the rest of them pretty much all end up going off and starting a new cafe. So, yeah. So, into the actual cover page series. So, number 1, House in the Jungle. In the jungle of a certain island, Little Garden, a dinosaur ponders a strange little hut built of something nigh indestructible. So this is, of course, referring to the house that Mr. 3 built on Little Garden when him and Miss Goldenweek first arrived there, to give them a more classy place to live instead of having to deal with the horrible dinosaurs all over the place. And that's where they end up. The house is very useful. I'll give it that. Number 2, newspaper, please. So Miss Goldenweek has survived, the defeat that happened there. And she continues to live on Little Garden. Seems kind of okay with it, I guess. And he's even getting service on the news crew. So she's, willing to, pay them and get money. The news crew kind of looks a little surprised to see her, but apparently she's been at the very least keeping up enough with the news that, useful to know what's going on. 3, fall of Baroque and unfamiliar colleagues. So Miss Goldenweek ends up getting the newspaper and she takes it back to the house where Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are waiting, and they learn that Baroque Works has been defeated. Now, of course, the official story given to the world is that they were defeated by Smoker and Tashigi and the Marines. Unfortunately, we know as the readers that know it was the Straw Hats that did it, but that they were defeated. And of course, we get to, we see that, Crocodile, the rest of them, Mr. 1, Mr. 2, Miss Doublefinger, Mr. 4, and Miss Merry Christmas and Lasso have all been captured. That they've all been captured. And throughout the course of the time that these 3 have been living on the island, they've gone a little Flintstone-y, I guess. Miss Goldenweek has kind of ripped away at her dress because, of course, and they're actually quite lucky because, of course, Little Garden is of course, very tropical climate, as we see throughout the course of the episodes, throughout the course of the arc. And, they also have to deal with the fact that Dory and Broggy are there. And they, so they're having to deal with all of that. But the other thing is, all 3 of these guys are very lucky that they did not get bit by the Castilla and get sick like Nami did. They are very lucky about that. Otherwise, they would be very dead by now. So they're very lucky that didn't happen. I also like the fact that Miss Valentine, she doesn't have her umbrella on her in the cover page. She has a stick with a big club with a rock on the end of it, I guess, to give her a weapon of some kind. And Mr. 5 is just eating a giant thing of meat. That would make Luffy very happy. So then we go to number 4. Let's go to prison. So Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, to their horror, Miss Goldenweek just starts packing, and she has resolved that she is going to make their way to wherever their former colleagues are, and and help them escape. Most of these people they have never met. Really, the only other members that they've met were, I think, maybe they met the Unluckies, and of course Mr. 3, but Mr. 3 is not here at the moment. He went off to Alabasta and abandoned these 3. But And Miss Goldenweek's just like, okay, time to pack up. I am going to go, and I am going to go and try to save our friends. The other 2, what are you doing? Stop. So then we get 6, escape from Giant Island. So, unwilling to let Miss Goldenweek go by herself, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine have decided that they're going to reluctantly help her, essentially. And this just kind of shows that these 3 have kind of gotten kind of close throughout the course of this time frame. Now, I believe at this point in time in the story, Miss Goldenweek or Marianne is, I think, about 16 years old, because I think she's supposed to be the same age as Kobe. So I think she's supposed to be about 16. And then Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, I believe, are both in their 20s. I don't remember exactly, but I think they're both in their they're very, very, very late teens or early 20s. I just don't remember. But they've decided that, okay, fine, we will help you. Fine, we will help you. I'm assuming at some point in time they've given their actual names at this point in time to each other. It's like, well, I've been calling you Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine for the past however many weeks. What are your real names? Well, I'm Gem of the Border, and I'm Makita. So yeah. So, fun bit there. Oh, that's nice to meet you. My name's Marianne. So it's like, I'm sure they've done the introductions at some point in time. But what they need to do first is they need to find a way to get off the island. And, they need to figure out how to get off the island. So, they end up Marianne approaches, or sorry, Miss Goldenweek approaches a pterodactyl. And she uses her colors trap, her green colors trap, which is the friendship one. We saw her use this one on Luffy. She uses the green colors trap on the pterodactyl to make it their friend. And then the three of them end up, getting onto the pterodactyl and flying off. Yeah, it's cute. But it is just kind of funny how that works. I was just like, no, that's cute. So there's, yeah, they use, so, excuse me, I got those flipped up. So number 5 is that that she uses her colors trap on the pterodactyl. Number 6 is that the three of them are flying off, holding on to the pterodactyl, and Dory is just kind of waving at them as they're leaving. I guess he forgave them for, making his alcohol explode, making his food explode, and making him lose the fight. But he's like waving goodbye at them. Bye, tiny humans. I mean, they've been hanging out on the island for a couple of weeks now, I would assume. So maybe they've gone and apologized to Dory and Broggy for what happened. That would maybe be at least somewhat okay. Then we have the extra volume where we just see Dory and Broggy are continuing to fight, and they're like, they're punching each other in the face because, they don't have their weapons anymore. So they are just continuing their duel of honor with fisticuffs instead. Which, of course, we will eventually see them later on in one of the other from the Decks of the World cover page series. I think it's one of the first one. I think it's the first one after the time skip. And we'll see them there. But this is the last time that we're going to hear from them for a while in the story. So then we get into 7. Ink washes away in rain. So as they're flying, unfortunately, they end up hitting a rainstorm, which is not surprising given the Grand Line. And the paint on the pterodactyl kind of starts to wash away, so they can't really control it anymore. So it essentially drops them. It drops them, and they thankfully, number 8, now landing on Cayuca Island. So Cayuca Island, or Vacation Island, is one of the other terms for it, or Resort Island, or some of the names for the island, based on the translation. And this is actually, we have seen this island before in the story. We saw this island when Mr. 3 and Miss Goldenweek were introduced. And this is just the island where they go to take their vacation days. And it's just this vacation themed island in the Grand Line that has a giant umbrella on the top of it, or it looks like one of the trees is an umbrella. And it's just this resort town, resort island that people can go to. And that's where Mr. 3 and Miss Goldenweek were when they first showed up. I also find it hilarious that means that Crocodile offers vacation days. In the Baroque's employment plan is that vacation days are a part of this, so that's cute. So the pterodactyl has regained its senses and has dropped its passengers onto the island. Thankfully, it's an island that at least Miss Goldenweek is familiar with. Also, there was once an ad made for this island that I think ran in one of the magazines, which is just funny. And it offers you the ability to get an eternal pose to be able to get to the island no matter where you're from. So that's just funny. Then we get into number 9. So Cayuca's island's crawling with Marines. So the 3 of them have now arrived. Miss Goldenweek is trying to get food. She's trying to get ice cream, which is funny. But there's Marines all over the island because I guess that they are familiar with the fact that, okay, some of the Baroque Works members have come here in the past to be on vacation. Also, and this is going to be something that gets revealed in a moment or in a little bit, but we know that the Unluckies have given, Mr. 13 and Miss Friday have given the Marines, sketches and such of what each of the other Baroque Works members look like. So that's how, they're able to be like, hey, we're looking for these guys. So I do like the fact that, I like that we get the little bruises on the characters from falling off of the pterodactyl. And then Marianne is just like, oh, good, we landed here. 3 ice creams, please. Well, the other 2 are like, stop. stop doing that. So that's just funny. So then we get to 10. Today's agenda, a little fun little fugitive hunt. So now we see that Hina is here, Black Cage Hina. I went over bits of this already in Hina's video because, I went over her. But we see that Hina is on the island, relaxing. But she also has, Full Body and Django there with her, which is just funny. And a bunch of the other Marines are like in the pool, and like all the Marines are having fun, which is just funny. But they have a picture of Mr. 3 that they are looking at. And assumedly that's because I believe it's either Mr. 2 or Mr. 3 has escaped. It's like one of them evaded No, it's Mr. 3 evaded capture in Alabasta and somehow ends up on this island. And then it's Mr. 2 is going to escape in a moment. So it's like they're trying to, they're, like on the lookout for the other members of Baroque Works. Number 11. Mr. 2 is a famous escapee. So they're, the three of them eating their ice cream end up seeing one of the posters, and this is one of the wanted posters for Mr. 2, for Bon Clay. And he has managed to escape. He was captured in Alabasta because the last time that we saw Mr. 2 at this point in time was when the Straw Hats were trying to leave Alabasta, and Mr. 2 had gotten to their ship and he was keeping it safe from the Marines. And in order to give Luffy and the others a chance to escape, him and his crew disguise themselves as the Straw Hats. He, pretends to be Luffy. And, says his goodbyes to the Straw Hats. We will meet again. And, maybe we shall meet again on the high seas or whatever. And then him and his crew end up essentially distracting Hina, giving the Straw Hats the chance to give their message to Vivi and then escape, which is very nice. And then of course during that setup, Mr. 2 is captured. So being Mr. 2, he has also now by this point in time managed to escape again. So he is the other highest profile fugitive that's managed to escape custody at this point in time for what's going on here. So that's just funny. And also, none of these three have ever met Mr. 2. That's the thing, is like so many of the different agents in Baroque Works, Crocodile didn't really have them interact with each other. He knew who everybody was, and Robin knew who everybody was, and I think the Unluckies knew who everybody was. But for the most part, the other members didn't know who each other was for like the higher ranked officers, for like the 1 through 5 officers didn't really interact with the other ones, very much. Vivi as Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9, and Igaram as Mr. 8 and Miss Monday, like they all interacted with each other because they were part of the Whiskey Peak group, but the others didn't really interact with each other all that much. 12. For now, let's try disguises. So the three of them all put on these funny disguises. Mr. 5 still has his giant 5 on display on his chest, which is just funny. I'm like, yeah, that's not strange at all. I think Miss Goldenweek is probably the least one that makes her look like herself, but still, she's still, she's got a big fluffy afro and a prison stripe shirt. And then I do like Miss Valentine's outfit. And I do believe that there is a reference to this outfit in the live action. That in one of the trailers, it looks like she's in this version of the outfit as opposed to her dress with the lemons on it. I will get to talking about the live action closer to the end of the video. But I did at least want to reference that like her outfit here does, I believe, appear in the live action, or a version of it appears in the live action. So like they're all, in disguise now. Okay, good. Not really gonna help you because 13 Hina discovers. So Miss Goldenweek's party is, they're just like immediately spotted by Hina because they had, so we know that Sanji defeated the Unluckies, Mr. 13 and Miss Friday, on Little Garden. We know that they were defeated on Little Garden. And what ends up happening is at some point in time, the Marines found them and have essentially taken them and are like, okay, you know, bribe them with food. And they just like give over all the information that they have because like they've seen most of the other Baroque Works agents. So like they're drawing them out because of course Mr. Five can draw, and he draws out, pictures of all the other agents that they are aware of to give them the ability to find them. And these cards, or at least copies of the cards, have been given to Hina. And she is using these to identify these three, and that's pretty easy for her to do. Also, I love the fact that the otter can draw. I find that so adorable. So like they've got that information, and Hina's using that to her advantage. So what ends up happening is 14, Hina attacks. So their disguise is exposed. Miss Goldenweek and her group scatter as Hina attacks them. Unfortunately, she is able to ensnare Miss Valentine because, of course, Hina has her cage fruit, and she is able to, capture Miss Valentine by getting cages. It looks like her bar fruit, her cage part ability around her knees and her wrists behind her back. And so she is captured. Then we get into 15, the getaway. So, Mr. Five, because he's Mr. Five, he's, flings his, explosives, boogers. Dude, come up with something better. Everywhere. And he is able to, at the very least, stall Django and Full Body in their attempt to try to chase them. And him and Miss Goldenweek are able to, at the very least, escape from this. And they're kind of just like going into hiding at that point in time on the island. Then we have number 16. Miss Valentine got caught. So, sadly, the other two have managed to escape, but Miss Valentine got caught. And Hina now just quickly binds her to one of the pillars. And it's just like, okay, yep, you're the hostage. We're going to use you as bait, essentially, which is just adorable. Or which is just quite smart, actually. And then, of course, Django and Full Body in the background are just, like, inspecting her umbrella. Her parasol, which I'm just like, what do you expect it to do? Have you never seen an umbrella before? It's like, her power is her devil fruit ability, which we haven't seen her use in this. Although she may have made herself lighter when the pterodactyl was taking them away to make it a little bit lighter for the pterodactyl, which would have been appreciated, I guess. Then we get into 17. Turn yourselves in. Mr. Five and Miss Goldenweek are horrified to find a public ultimatum from Hina, issued to Mr. Three as well as themselves. Surrender by sunset or Miss Valentine will be executed. So, I don't exactly know how much Hina would have been willing to go through with this. I'm assuming she was given certain orders to try to capture the Baroque Works agents, but I don't know if threatening execution upon one of them was something that would have been allowed at the time, from given what we've seen in regards to, it's like, Impel Down is full of pirates, and we've seen very few execution of pirates. Roger is the main one that we have seen for a public execution of a pirate. Other than that, there's not that many that we end up seeing. But what ends up happening is, so we see that there's like this billboard out there, or not billboard, but like, a sign in the town square. And they're like, okay, we got to figure out what we're going to do about this. This is not good. So, number 18. The fugitive fleeing Cayuga Island. So, one Baroque Works fugitive, Mr. 3, has just decided to leave Miss Valentine to her fate. Because he's a prick. And that is Mr. 3. And he has somehow wound up on the island again. Again, we don't know how, but he does have his own ship. So he's, even, races to his ship to try to escape. A Mr. 3 styled ship. Just, dude, come up with a better thing. I love the fact that the flag pattern matches his pants. That's funny. And very Oda. So then we get into 19. Hold it right there. So as Mr. 3 is preparing to cast off from his ship, a mysterious stranger stops him. So we get this silhouetted stranger showed up here. Another one of the silhouettes. Oda's famous silhouettes. Then you get 20. You cannot stray from humankind's way. And it is revealed that this is Mr. 2, who had managed to escape. Now he has made his way here. And he is condemning Mr. 3. He is like chewing him out for the fact that it's like, you were willing to let your fellow Baroque Works agents be captured by the Marines and you won't do anything to try to save them. Because of course to Mr. 2, friendship is very important. Yeah, his loyalty to Crocodile was, a paid loyalty, but I think he kind of liked some of his co-workers a little bit. And then here he's trying to help them. And then, of course, he very much bonded, mostly with Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper in the Straw Hats. But he ended up liking the crew. And him and Sanji kind of came to a mutual understanding after their fight. And, of course, he was willing to, sacrifice himself in order to help Luffy and the others escape. And I think Mr. 2 did kind of feel bad for what he did to Alabasta, like impersonating Cobra and all that stuff. I think he felt kind of bad for that. Or at least I like to hope he felt kind of bad for that. So we get that. And I like this thing because it shows, Mr. 2, and he's at least in the colored version, he's got like a pink suit on, and he's, threatening Mr. 3, and it's like the swan silhouette is behind him, which is just funny. And of course, that you cannot stray from the path of humankind is a reference to one of Mr. 2's speeches that he gives. And we get to 21. Help! And Miss Goldenweek and Mr. 5 are trying to sneak to the coast of Koyuka Island so they can try to help Miss Valentine. But that's where Hina's unit, and that's where Hina's unit is. And they have Miss Valentine on this giant execution cross. I'm still not exactly sure if Hina would have been given permission to go through with this. Maybe she would have been. I don't know. I guess. I mean, like, they did just try to take down a country that is, world government affiliated. So maybe... I don't know. They would have been willing to do that. I don't know. Then we get into 22. The surrender of Mr. 3. So, Mr. 3 is essentially pushed in front of all three of them on like a little cart. And he's tightly bound, and there's like a little surrender flag with him. Or a little surrender note with him, which is just adorable. And he's just like, what the heck is going on? He's just tied to the thing. Then we have 23. Fake Mr. 3's Okama Kempo. So the Marines try to grab Mr. 3, reveal that it's not Mr. 3 at all, it's Mr. 2. And he pops out of the ropes, which he wasn't really tied to. Because, of course, Mr. 2 is a very good mimic. That is literally what he is. He is a shapeshifter. He, shapeshifts into Mr. 3, pretends to be him, loosely tied, pops out of the ropes, and challenges Hina to a rematch. Because, of course, Hina was the one who captured him at Alabasta. So, he's like, ha 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 ha, I'm here for a rematch. Which is just funny. And then we have 24. The fateful showdown. Mr. 2 versus Hina, the Black Cage. Hey, fun fight. So he has now defeated the rest of the squad, including Django and Full Body. And now he is prepared to fight Hina. So she's, throwing off her captain's cloak, her captain's coat, and getting ready to square up against him and, take him down. And Miss Goldenweek and Mr. 5 are off in the background, and they're just like waiting for their opening, they're given an opening to try to rescue Miss Valentine. So they're deciding to take it. So 25. the captain's power. So Hina proves to be a much tougher opponent than Mr. 2 had anticipated, using her caging abilities to essentially, like, weigh down his legs by, like, trapping, putting the cage bits around his ankles and such, making it harder for him to fight, because it's adding on extra weight that he's not used to fighting with. Kind of impedes his movements and everything for his close quarters, for his Okama Kempo style that he uses, makes it harder. Then we get 26, an off-guard rescue. So, whatever his chances against Hina, Mr. 2 has achieved his true goal to give Miss Goldenweek and Mr. 5 an opening to rescue Miss Valentine. So they have run over. Mr. 5 has used his abilities to blow up parts of the execution block so that way they can get her off of it. And they are running away with her as Mr. 2 is continuing to distract Hina. So, 27. Betrayal Black takes the ship over. So now we get another demonstration of her powers. So we have it that Miss Goldenweek uses one of her paint powers, the Betrayal Black, her colors trap, in order to make it that the Marines on the ship are now betraying Hina by sailing them through, by letting her, Mr. 5, and Miss Valentine escape Cayuga Island, and controlling the crew through the colors trap. 28, to the Marine Penitentiary. So they eventually, using the hijacked ship, they arrive at one of the Marine bases. I don't believe this one is ever given a name. It could just be one of the general Marine bases. It's referred to as a Marine Penitentiary, but we know that Impel Down is where they keep most of the prisoners. Not all of them, but most of them. Because we never saw Arlong. But what ends up happening is, of course, they're arriving there, and that's where the rest of the Baroque Works people are being held captive. Assumedly, they were able to just question the other Marines and be like, hey, do you know where the other Baroque Works members are being held captive? They're at blah, 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 Marine base. Don't take us there. Or take us there, or whatever the case is for the Betrayal Black. Because I know that when Luffy had the Betrayal Black used on him, that, the way that I think it was Nami or whatever, the way that they got him out of the colors trap was, like, they were telling him to get, they kept telling him to help them, and he couldn't do it. Which, of course, for Luffy is just, horrible not being able to do that because he can't help his friends. So, eventually, they end up figuring out that it's like, Luffy, don't step out of the colors trap. Screw you! Steps out of colors trap. Oh, good, I'm free again. Type of thing. So, we see that happen. So, that's what happens in 28. 29. Infiltrate the penitentiary, pretending to be caught. So, this is just funny. We see that she has used one of her other colors traps. This one is at least in the colored version shown to be the green colors trap. So they have Miss Goldenweek, Miss Valentine, and Mr. 5 all chained up. And one of the Marines is leading the three of them into the penitentiary area with the, control. In the cover, it's green. In this one, it's listed as Betrayal Black, I guess, in the description. So it could be one way or the other. Either way, it works for what they need. The green is friendship. The Betrayal Black just makes them, I guess, betray the normal people that they would be loyal to. And they're being taken inside. Then we get to 30. The strongest suspects. So, even in defeat, Baroque Works is no pushover. And we see that Crocodile, Mr. 1, and Mr. 4, all cuffed, have made short work of every other prisoner that dared to attack. So, we see Crocodile's just sitting there, and we see that Mr. 1 has taken out one of the other, prisoners that's there, and the other ones are just like, okay, fine, we'll stop. We won't bother you anymore, Mr. Crocodile. We're sorry. Type of thing. Now, two things here. The initial printing of this chapter depicted Crocodile with 2 intact hands on the cover. in the initial printing. However, in the Tonko Blonde release, it was reprinted, and all subsequent reprints, it has been fixed to be his hook and his hook and his hands, his hook and his hand, in order to make it correct. But that's like one of the things that led to the theory of like, oh my god, is Crocodile's hook actually fake? Is it just like a thing that he puts over the top of his hand? But it's just like, oh no, he still has it here. Also, whole thing about the fact of like, okay, Luffy broke the frickin' hook. Twice. Luffy broke the hook through his fight with Crocodile. So, why the heck does he still have the hook? And why do they still have him have the hook when he's an Impel Down? That seems like a grievous oversight. The other thing is that this chapter marks the first, and for a very long time, the only case where a character appears in the cover page series and in the chapter. And in this case, it's of course Crocodile is in the cover page, and then he is also in the chapter in a flashback from Robin, where we're getting some information about, I think this part is, what is going on in this one? This is, I think, when Robin is having part of her flashbacks about her life leading up to being in Baroque Works and then eventually joining the Straw Hats and everything. And we see her and, Mr. Zero there. Her as Miss All Sunday, and him as Mr. Zero. So we're kind of getting some of that. So that's kind of what happens there. Number 31. Long time no see lady and an unfamiliar woman. So even Miss Doublefinger and Miss my brain goes to Miss Groundhog's Day because that's what she was called in the 4Kids stuff. Miss Merry Christmas. Both of them have also like proven themselves in their cell, and they're just like sitting there calmly. And I love the fact that Miss Doublefinger was given like a very form-fitting dress as her prison attire, which is just funny. Possibly maybe they've met before, I'm not sure, but not very familiar with each other. Miss Goldenweek and Miss Valentine are, meeting those two, finding them in the cell, and being like, okay, you want to come with us? Yeah. 32. Back in business, Baroque Works. So we see that Miss Valentine, Miss Goldenweek, Miss Valentine, and Mr. Five have freed Miss Doublefinger and Miss Merry Christmas, and they have made their way into the men's cell block where Crocodile, Mr. 1, and Mr. 4 are waiting. And they're like, okay, we are back in business. Who wants to join us for the breakout? We're leaving. Anybody want to come with us? 33. The Great 6-Man, 1-Gun Escape. So we cut outside of the Marine base. We see that there are explosions happening. And in no time at all, the reunited Baroque Works agents break out of the Marine base. 34. Escape declined. Don't feel like it. So we cut back into the Marine base where we see that Crocodile and Mr. 1 have decided to stay captured. And this kind of shows Mr. 1's loyalty to Crocodile, where he could have easily escaped. And Crocodile's just sitting there. He doesn't, neither of them have the cuffs on anymore. Crocodile's just sitting there, gotten himself one of his cigars, pulled out his lighter, lit the cigar, and now he's just like, well, that was an interesting day. What are we going to do now, Mr. 1? Mr. 1. I don't talk much. I just stand here and look intimidating. Nope, that's fair. That's what I pay you to do. Technically, you're not paying me anymore, sir. I know. I'm sorry about that. So it's just fun interaction here. It's like, Crocodile, you could have escaped. Why didn't you? I mean, I get for the story purposes where he ends up being later on, but yeah, it's just funny. So now we get 35. Colors Trap. Dream Rainbow. Become your aspiration. So as the Baroque Works crew are escaping, which is, of course, as we see here, we have, he's not shown here, but so we have Miss Goldenweek, who is like using her color palette to activate this big effect in the sky, we see Miss Doublefinger, Miss Merry Christmas, Mr. 2, Lasso, and of course we also know that Mr. 5 is here as well, so they're all escaping. That's the 6-man and 1-gun escape. They're all escaping. And I love the fact that they got Lasso. I love the fact that they take Lasso with them. That's just adorable. So they have the colors trap going on, and it blends into all these colors of her palette, and they're just going into the air. 36. Became a princess, an artist, and Paula from the bar. So what the colors trap aspiration does is that it allows you to essentially, it makes it that it manifests what your dream is, what your true aspiration is. And in this case, we of course get that Miss Merry Christmas wanted to be a princess, so now she's dressed as a princess. Miss Goldenweek wants to be a true artist, so now she is dressed as a true artist, and what her opinion of what a true artist will look like. And then Miss Doublefinger is her Paula guys from the Spider's Cafe. So that's what she really wants to be. She just really wanted to be a barmaid at a random cafe in the middle of the desert. Fair. The other thing about this cover page is that Miss Goldenweek's apple hat is very similar to Vegapunk's apple antenna that he has. And this is a good, well, not a huge amount of time before Vegapunk is introduced, because Vegapunk is, I believe, first mentioned by Kobe in his Lobby Water 7 stuff, which isn't super far from this time frame. But you know, her apple hat is very similar to what Vegapunk's, what his apple antenna looks like. So I don't know if that is a complete and utter coincidence or just funny. Then we get 37. Became a chocolate lady, a fireman, an express pizza deliverer, and a tank. So we get to see that the others here get their dream shown. Miss Valentine wants to be a chocolatier. That goes along with her being Miss Valentine's Day, Valentine. Mr. 5 wants to be a fireman, which is just weird. Also, him being a fireman is funny, A, because he blows stuff up, but he's also kind of fireproof, which is, I guess, helpful. But also, Oda has said in some of the other SBS questions that people have asked, well, what would be like the Straw Hats' normal day-to-day jobs if they were in our world? Luffy would be a firefighter. So that's just kind of fun there that Mr. 5 also wants to be a firefighter. Then we have Mr. 4 is a pizza delivery man, which is just funny. That's his great ambition is to be a pizza delivery man. And then Lasso really wants to be a tank, which is just adorable. So Lasso is a gun who ate the dog fruit model dachshund, and he really wants to be a tank. Go right ahead. You be you, Lasso. You be you and wear your tank outfit proudly. Then we have 38. Become the Pirate King and a hero. So we cut back into the prison cell, where Crocodile is sitting there, and now he is just wearing an outfit that looks almost exactly like Goldie Roger's outfit, with like the very, the fun hat with like the Baroque symbol on it, which is funny. And he's just like, what the hell is going on? It's like, the heck? It's just so funny for Crocodile. And then Mr. 1 is turned into a superhero, and he's just like still very stoic, but on the inside he's like, I'm a superhero, yay, I'm a superhero. Which is just funny. And like we see like the colors trap in the background. I mean, like, this is just kind of reaffirming that, like, yes, Crocodile's dream is to become the Pirate King. So we get kind of that there. But I just love the look at his face, like, what the heck is going on? I am so confused. which is just funny. Then we get to 38, and it's a wreck in the wilderness. So the former, now their former aspirations are restored. They've been reminded of what they wanted to be. Miss Goldenweek and the rest of the escapees have made their way to a new home, a long deserted saloon on an unknown island. This is still an unknown island. We still don't know what island this is. I don't even know. I think the original Spider's Cafe was supposed to be somewhere in Alabasta, but I don't remember if that's ever fully confirmed. For where Miss Doublefinger had been working at Paula, which she was already kind of living her best life there, which is just kind of fun. So yeah, just like this old, little rundown saloon, and they're like, okay, well, let's take it over. And, they end up doing that, and it's just 4 all together now. The new Spider's Cafe. So now we have it that, like, all of them have now, like, they've rebuilt and remodeled and everything, the cafe itself, and they've made it now the new Spider's Cafe, which is, of course, the name that the cafe was that, Miss Doublefinger had been running at the time. And, like, they're all getting to kind of be their dreams. Mr. 4 is going to get to deliver pizza. Mr. 5, is going to be, I guess, I don't know, whatever, helping with, like, not blowing things up around the island, I hope. Miss Merry Christmas gets to be a waitress, I guess, as a princess. Paula, or Miss Doublefinger, gets to be behind the bar. Makita can do her chocolatiering and have it be kind of like a like a pastry place as well. And Miss Goldenweek is able to paint her stuff, and then Lasso is able to be a tank. Lasso is a good guard doggo. Lasso is a good guard doggo. Now we get 41. Mr. 0, 1, 2, and 3 are all still stuck in Impel Down, are all still stuck in the penitentiary. So Mr. 2 and Mr. 3 managed to be captured by Hina, or she managed to capture them, beat the heck out of them, and now they're thrown into the prison. Crocodile and Mr. 1 are, of course, still there. And, yeah, it's like, okay, well, I guess we got these ones here. And now we get the conclusion. And conclusion, sentence decided, the great prison Impel Down. Now, throughout the course of Ines Lobby arc, we are informed of what Impel Down is. We are informed that there are the 3 islands that there is Ines Lobby, which is the island of justice, and where the pirates and criminals are judged for the most part. And then we have Ines Lobby, and then we have Impel Down, and that is, of course, the prison, which, of course, we then eventually end up getting to explore as Luffy makes his way through it. But we are, unfortunately, the Marines have now transferred Crocodile, Mr. 1, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3 to the highest security prison in the world, to Impel Down. So, all of them are now stuck. All of them are stuck. And we get some new mugshots for all of them, which is just kind of funny. So there's not really any part of the series that gets animated into any part of the anime that I'm aware of. At least not that I could find. However, I did at least kind of want to go over something here, before I kind of get into the more, aftermath type stuff. So, one of the things that, of course, we get in this cover page series is we get the kind of dreams and aspirations of some of the members of Baroque Works. Also, because I haven't really had the chance to do it in any other video, I just kind of wanted to go over, their secret identity name and their actual identity name. So we have Mr. 0 is, of course, Crocodile, and his ambition is still to be the king of the pirates. We have Miss All Sunday, who is, of course, Nico Robin, and her ambition is still to learn about the Void Century. She is now off with the Straw Hats. We have Mr. 1, Daz Bones. His ambition is to be a superhero. Good for him. Miss Doublefinger, or Zala. Her ambition is to be Paula the bartender, which she now gets to live out and be. Mr. 2, Bon Clay, or Bantham of the Wild, is, he's Bantham of the Wild. And then we have, I guess, we don't actually get an answer as to what his greatest dream is, but I would assume it has to do something with getting to go to Kamabaka Island. is where I assume part of that lands. Get to meet Ivankov, all of that stuff, which he does get to achieve. And now he is the queen of New Kama Land in Impel Down. And he is alive. Then we have Mr. 3, Galdino. And his ambition is unknown. He is not affected by the colors trap, and we never find out what his ambition is overall. So, yeah, not really much there. Then we have Miss Goldenweek, or Marianne, as her name is. And she is, of course, wants to be a great artist. Hopefully she will continue down that path. Then we have Mr. 4, or Babe. And his dream is just to be a pizza delivery man. And you know what? I'm not going to knock that dream. Sometimes it's nice to have simple dreams. Then we have Miss Merry Christmas, or Drophy. And her dream is to be a princess. I guess she dressed up like a princess. She's happy now. Then we have Lasso, who has no secret identity name. He's just Lasso. And he wants to be a tank. Again, simple dreams. Simple dreams. I love the fact that, like, in the story where there's huge over-the-top dreams that, like, a bunch of the Straw Hats wants to do. There's just some people that just have regular dreams. I just want to be a fireman. I want to be a tank. I'm also a dog. Yeah, you have fun with that, Lasso. Then we have Mr. 5, Gem of the Border, or Gem of the Border. And he wants to be a firefighter or such. A fireman, firefighter, same as Luffy, as I said. Then we have Miss Valentine, or Makita. She wants to be a chocolatier. Girl, you would be happy in Whole Cake Island. Maybe. And that's about it, because we don't learn the real names of, I mean, we know that Igaram was, of course, Mr. 8, and that Vivi was Miss Wednesday, and we, know where they are and what their dreams were. We don't know about Mr. 9 or Miss Monday. We don't know what their specific dreams were. And then the other members of Baroque Works, I really don't care. They're not in this cover page series, and we don't get any other information about them, so I really don't see the use of putting them in here. However, in regards to, like, the aftermath of this, it takes a very long time for us to see pretty much any of the other ones who did not end up in Impel Down. The ones who did end up in Impel Down, Crocodile, Dazbones, Bonclay, and Galdino, are all run into by Luffy during the Impel Down arc, and they are, of course, all part of the Escape arc. During that, Mr. 2, of course, ends up staying behind and everything else like that, and very tearfully stays behind. Then it takes a long time for us to find out whether or not he's still alive. He is. He's come back to Queendom. And Crocodile, Dazbones, and Galdino are all currently part of Cross Guild. So that's where they all ended up. However, very recently in the manga, well, not recently in the manga, but in the anime we saw this, during Vegapunk's message, we finally actually get to see Marianne, Drophy, and Makita are all still just listening in with a bunch of the other citizens, listening into Vegapunk's message about the sea level rises. And they still seem to be living out their best life. We don't get the name of the island that they're on, but they do seem to be living out their best life. Good for them. Stick with it. And the last thing that I do want to point out here is that, yes, we have gotten, with the new live action coming out, or possibly up by the time this episode goes up, I don't remember. But we have seen a bunch of the Baroque Works agents, and they all look so damn good. And I am so happy that they look that good. I am so happy that, like, all the ones that we see for Whiskey Peak look great. All the ones that we have seen that are going to be on Little Garden look great. Just, they look awesome. And I'm so happy for that. And I really hope that the live action part 2 goes really, really well. That second season goes really, really well. And then of course we did get, we have Joe Manganello is going to be Crocodile, and hopefully that goes really, really well. And then we, of course, I think they very recently announced, Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger for who was going to play them. I don't know if we've gotten the announcement for, or at least as of recording this, I don't know if we've gotten the announcement for who's going to be Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. I don't know if that's been made. Possibly by the time this goes up, that information might be out, but I don't know yet. But all the ones that they have cast so far and that we have seen in the trailers, they look so good. I'm just really hoping this goes well. And the Unluckies look great in the trailer. I'm sorry. I love the bit where Sanji comes out of the wax house, sees the Unluckies. That is an otter riding a vulture. And there's a machine gun. What the F? That is the correct answer there, Sanji. So I'm really hoping this goes well. That's what I have here. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.